Hello everybody! I'm back in this corner of the sofa again, but I've got some artwork up on the wall from Barbados. I knew I wanted monkeys over my desk, so they're staying there. Hello, welcome back if you've been here before. I'm Debbie, and I read a lot of books. I am currently rereading something at the moment. This is rare for me, but it's because it was a series that I never finished and thought, I might as well just go back to the beginning to remind myself what happened. And actually, something that I thought happened in book 1 actually happened in book 2. So I'm going to talk about books 1 and 2 of this series. It starts off with The Witch's Ladder, and it's the Tony Marcella mystery books by Dana E Donovan. As I said, I read these books years ago, and as I was sorting out my Kindle library thinking, I've got so many things on here and I don't know what to do with them, and so I was getting rid of books that I knew that didn't need to be on there, keeping the books that I just thought, oh well, maybe I will give those a go. And basically I went into these and had a look at them, and it said you have 11 of these 12 items. It was like, 12? That means I'm quite possibly never finish these. So yeah, I thought I'd go back and remind myself. So yeah, book 1 is The Witch's Ladder and book 2 is Eye of the Witch. So let's read you both of those blurbs. A group of talented individuals proficient in the psychic academia of clairvoyance, mental telepathy and bilocation work together to understand life's most unusual secrets. But secrets among psychics are hard to keep, and the members of this group soon realise that even their abilities of mind over matter can't protect them from the blade of the surgeon stalker. So that one's The Witch's Ladder, book 1, which is 250 pages, with a typical time to read of 4 hours and 49 minutes. And then book 2, which is Eye of the Witch. Pride, paranoia and paranormal forces all conspire to derail Detective Marcella's investigation into a series of suspicious suicides in Newcastle, Massachusetts. Marcella learns that because of the ties that bind their pasts, every potential victim is also a possible suspect. So yeah, this is very much up my alley with murder mystery tying in with fantasy and witches and all that kind of stuff, and my battery's trying to die on me. Fun times. But yeah, so if you've been here a while and you've gotten to know my book preferences, you'll realise why that is completely up my alley. I love my good murder mystery, that's like my go-to is a good murder mystery. But then over the years I've started to get more into fantasy again, and so when you've got books that combine the two, I'm a very happy Debbie. So yeah, it's Tony Marcella. He's an older detective. It's implied that, you never actually told exactly how old he is, but you know he's near a retiring age in the first book. Now, when I've talked about this book before, I have mentioned something which is a spoiler for book 2, because I didn't realise that happened in the second book when I remembered it. But it does tie into that kind of supernatural side of things, because basically there's a witch that is part of the psychic group called Lilith. In the first book, Tony comes across this institute where a couple of people have died, murdered by some sort of unseen force, and in the first book you see him investigating those deaths as somebody seems to be picking off members of this group one by one. You don't know if it's a serial killer, but you also know that their livers are being taken out, they're being dismembered in the most brutal way. And then it ends up, because they know it comes to the point when they just all start suspecting each other, and so the group turns on each other, which leads into what happens in this book with who's left. That's why I'm not going to talk too much about the characters of the first book, because it can lead into spoilers for the actual murder mystery. But there's a few people that are still left. One which Tony is feeling very protective of, a young woman who is quite a focal point. To be fair, both books, but she becomes more of a focal point in book 2 based on who she is with. How to say that? But yeah, in the second book, it's some people appear to be killing themselves, but now that Tony is aware of what's been going on with the psychic group, he realises there may be a paranormal side to what is going on with these deaths, and that maybe they didn't kill themselves and maybe they were influenced by some sort of external force to do it, which is why it doesn't appear to be investigated properly, because they don't have a paranormal division. Tony kind of starts that off. So, yeah, it's a really, really good series. I'm really looking forward to reading the rest of these books and finishing it off, because as I said, I didn't realise I'd ever finished it until I went in. It was like, oh, there is another one. Yeah, so at this point, I'm just talking about these two. So, yeah, the way it's told is like Tony is telling you the story after the fact. I've read another book like that recently as well, where it's a bit more of a unique take on how the story is told, but it's like he's talking to you almost like you're an old friend, and he's just like, this is what happened to me in the past 10 years. That's kind of how it feels with the way it's written. And then he writes about things that he later found out happened to show the point of view of other people when he wasn't there. So yeah, he's like, and later I found out about this conversation. And so yeah, so it's all through Tony's point of view, but you do also, because of hearsay, you're also getting the other point of views. Yeah, that's why I'm trying to be careful, because I don't want to spoil it too much, because it's really into it. But yeah, it's a really clever storytelling device for Tony to be telling you what's happened to him. He's telling you from a certain point in the future. So, and considering the fact that I don't remember how this ended, and the fact that I didn't actually finish it, it'll be interesting to reread these earlier ones. Yeah. But the fact that it starts off with this group of psychic people, and you've got these different doctors, it's Dr. Lieberman and Dr. Lowell, who are in charge of the original group, and then you find out there was more people. It was like a research thing, so there were more people before the group of the first book, which is talked about in this one, but you realise that the deaths may be connected to this group again. Yeah, so through these first two books, everything comes back to the original group and study into these people with psychic abilities and abilities to bilocate, which is where they can kind of almost project themselves to somewhere else, which is what one of the characters can do, and there's indications that somebody else can do it in the second book. It's so good. I just love the magical with the murder mystery. It just brings another layer of twist to everything. And I do love a good twist. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to say for now about books 1 and 2. But you've got a whole host of characters to get to know in that first book, and then you realise that somebody's picking them off, and then they start turning on each other, which adds another layer. But also, because you don't know, because it's of the magical bit, these psychic abilities, you are trying to figure out how everything is like connecting and who's going to turn on each other and how Tony comes into everything. And yeah, because it's one of the witches who gives Tony a witch's ladder in the first one, and in the second one he's given the eye of the witch, what is thought to be the eye of the witch. I only just realised that, but in these first two books there are things that Tony has been given. Ooh, that is an interesting connection on the titles. The witch's ladder, he's given a witch's ladder, and he unties different knots to influence things when he's talking to people. Like there's a point when he realises that with the untying of a knot in the ladder gives him briefly some psychic abilities, even when he doesn't actually. I think it's one of those things where you have to be susceptible to it, and he doesn't entirely believe, but there's a part of him that kind of does, which allows him to experience the magic. But yeah, in this one he's given the eye of the witch. In the second one. So yeah, it's in the first book that he meets Lilith, and then Lilith becomes quite a big part of Tony's story going forward. I'll talk more about Lilith's magic and what happens when I talk about the next book or books. Originally I was going to do these as 2 separate videos, but I just thought I've done both of them, so I might as well talk to you about both of them. Anyway, it is 1:30. I'm trying to figure out what I want for dinner tonight. And there's another shop up around the corner, about 10 minutes away, which I've never really been into. I think I might just walk around the corner, because I've just got a couple of bits on my shopping list that I didn't get yesterday. So I thought I might pop around there and see how big a shop it is. Because I've got an Aldi near me as well, and Aldi doesn't always have everything you need. So I just thought it's handy to know that if I can't get everything at Aldi, I've got another shop up the way, about 10 minutes away. Probably just under 10 minutes actually, at my walking pace, which is a fairly good sized shop apparently. So yeah, I'm going to give that one a go. But yeah, Detective Marcella, or Marcella series by Dana E Donovan. by Dana E Donovan. That's hard to say. Yeah, I'll catch you up once I've read more. But yeah, the very last one is called The Last Witch. But yeah, I cannot remember for the life of me what happened towards the end of this. But yeah, I'll just say that in book 2, Lilith gives him a new lease of life. I'll just say that, and I'll go more into that twist, essentially, in book 3, because I can't remember how this was explained. It's a spoiler, so I talked about it when I talk about book 3, because I have a feeling that people coming in for book 3 will have either read it or won't care about the spoilers. So yeah, I'll talk about it once I've read book 3, because it happens right at the end of book 2. But yeah, just a new lease of life is all I'm saying for now. But if you might have caught my spoiler when I talked about this series in a different video. But yeah, so after the shops I go. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time with another video. Stay safe. I love you all. Bye.